If you're on day 0 of NoFap, then watch this, because this saved me years of potentially wasted time. If you don't know me, my name is Krishna, and I help young men quit their porn addictions by teaching the lessons that I personally learned throughout my journey. When I first discovered NoFap, I was pretty hype. I was really excited. I was watching all these videos about these guys who are on, these are the benefits that you get when you get to day 90 of NoFap, right? And I remember I used to consistently, every 3 or 4 days, I would relapse. I'd only get to day 3, day 4, and then I'd relapse again. And I'd feel terrible about myself after the relapse. After every single relapse, I would feel so bad. I'd be, this is the last time I'm going to do this. I'm never going to do this ever again. And then 3 or 4 days later, I would do it again. Sometimes I would lie to myself and be like, hey, this is the last time I'm going to do this. And then I would do it again the next day, and the next day, and then the day after that. And so after every single relapse, I used to be super motivated. I used to be like, I'm never going to watch porn again. I'm never going to fap again. I'm never going to do any of this stuff ever again. And then what would happen the next day? The next day, the urges would come back, and they'd be so strong that I would end up relapsing again. And so after many, many months and years of just trial and error, I think I figured out 3 things that helped me quit. 2 of them are super tactical. The other one's more of like a mindset shift that worked for me. So the first thing that I would say is to stop beating yourself up over the relapses and instead start getting super, super analytical. What I mean is that usually when we relapse, what happens? We get horny. We go on our favorite website. We go on our favorite app, whatever. We relapse. And then we feel bad after the relapse. We feel shame, or I'm never going to do this again. I feel really bad about myself. You feel a lot of shame and guilt. And that's it. Now, in my opinion, relapsing isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just part of the addiction recovery process. That's all it is. You're gonna relapse. You're gonna fail a few times, and that's fine. I think what a lot of people miss, and this is what I missed for a long time as well, this is why I struggled to stop relapsing, is they didn't analyze their relapses, right? They didn't analyze any of them. Meaning that instead of just beating yourself up and feeling guilty and feeling shame over the relapse, why don't we instead and think, okay, what caused this? Why did this happen? When did this happen? How did this happen? Right? So I'll give you an example for me. A common time that I would relapse is after coming home from school, after a long day, and I know that there's a bunch of homework that I have to do. There's a bunch of stuff that I need to get done that I don't want to do. So what do? Well, I avoid doing that. Instead, I just scroll Instagram, right? I'm there on my computer chair, just sitting on my computer chair, loading up Instagram on my phone, just swiping away. And then the urges come. And since I'm alone and in my room and nobody's around me, it's way, way easier to relapse. So what did I do? Loaded up Pornhub, and there you go. I relapsed. All over my bedroom floor. Now, if we just dissect that a little bit, okay, why did this happen? Why did I relapse then? Well, you need to think, okay, what was I avoiding? What was I avoiding? Well, I was avoiding the responsibilities, the homework, the tasks around the house that I know that I should be doing, but I'm not doing, right? I was avoiding the fact that I was quite lonely at the time. I had a group of friends, but really those friends weren't even real friends in the first place. They were just people that I would I would hang around. I'd just be in the same place as them, and maybe I'd laugh with them a couple times. But even when I came home, I still felt this sense of loneliness, right? I had depression, I had anxiety, poor mental health. That's what I was running away from, right? Now, what was I running towards? Well, I was running towards the things that I wanted. Obviously, there's the base level of wanting when it comes to porn addiction, which is what you want. The immediate gratification, right? You want pleasure. And then there's the deeper level of it where really all you want is love and connection and intimacy with another person. But you can't get that in real life, so what do? You watch porn instead, right? And porn becomes an escape vehicle to run away from something that we fear and to run towards something that we want. When we analyze our relapses, we can alchemize something that's bad into something useful, into something good. Because now we know, okay, we know the things that we're running away from, we know the things that we want. How can we get those things in real life as well, right? But it all starts with us having a little bit of humility and saying to ourselves, why did I relapse? Why did this happen, right? It's not, a lot of the times, the answer is not simply because you're horny. Sometimes it's not as simple as that. A lot of times, and this brings me to the second point that I have, we run towards something that we want, and we run away from something that we fear or something that we don't want, right? This obviously makes sense because they did this study with mice, I believe. They took mice and they put them in this little tunnel thing, and they attached, I'm not exactly sure what they attached. I think they attached a rope or something like that to the mouse's head. And what's interesting is that they attached the rope to the mouse and they wafted the smell of cheese in the front. And the mouse pulled a certain amount, right? Then what they did was they attached the rope to the mouse, wafted the smell of cheese into the front, and then wafted the smell of a cat from the back of the tunnel. What does this mean? Well, the mouse pulled harder after it smelled both the cheese and the cat at the same time. And so again, this just illustrates, not only do we want to run away from something that we fear, we want to run towards something that we want at the same time. And so porn is not only used as a means of pleasure, it's used as a method of escape as well. And so that's just a little mindset shift that helped me at least. The third point that I'm going to make is about the whole concept of getting to day 90 of NoFap, getting to day 180 of NoFap, right? Because essentially what it is saying is that you've been addicted to this for years, probably. And what it wants you to do, what NoFap wants you to do, is it basically wants you to quit immediately. It wants you to go from watching it once a day, twice a day, to 0 times for the rest of your life. That's essentially what it wants. Now, we want to not watch porn, right? We don't want to watch that stuff anymore. Fine, I get that. But at the same time, it's like asking a beginner in the gym to bench 315 pounds. When you think about it like that, it's kind of absurd, right? The beginner is you, and NoFap is asking you to bench 315 pounds, and 315 pounds in this example is not watching porn ever again. Just quitting just like that immediately. How dumb is that? Just think about it for a minute. How stupid could you be if you were a guy in the gym and somebody walked up to a beginner and was like, hey, you need to bench 3 plates, what would you tell that beginner? You would tell the beginner, no, 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 you shouldn't bench 3 plates right now. Maybe instead you should start with the empty barbell and work your way up, right? And so the same thing applies to this. Relapsing is part of the addiction process. It's a feature, not a bug. And I think that instead of just trying to go cold turkey, the thing that I did, which worked a lot, which is progressive deloading, meaning that instead of trying to go 0 days, or instead of trying to watch porn 0 times, why don't you do this instead? Why don't you treat it a little bit like the gym, for example? If you've done it, if you've relapsed, let's say if you watch porn 30 times this month, right? There's 30 days in the month, you do it once per day. Next month, why don't you do 25? And then the next month, why don't you do 20? And then 15? And then 10, right? I'm not asking you to quit immediately just like this. I'm asking you to just reduce the amount of times that you do it. And so then at the end of the month, you could say, okay, out of the 30 days in this month, I only did it 25 times. I used to do it 30 times. Maybe you used to do it 60 times, right? That's how you make real progress. It's not by doing these big life-altering changes in one day, right? It's by doing the small steps, by doing the small incremental things every single day, because that adds up. And so you just need to start with the empty barbell. That's it. You need to start with the empty barbell. And I think a lot of people have a lot of ego when it comes to this, or at least a lot of dudes, they have a lot of ego when it comes to this. They're just like, oh yeah, I can quit. Right, that's how I said it. It's like, oh yeah, it's just willpower, bro. It's not that simple. It's usually not that simple. Because not only did porn, if you watch it long enough, physically rewire your brain chemistry, it's become your #1 form of escape from whatever it is that you're avoiding. And if you don't fix, or if you don't deal with whatever it is that you're avoiding, you're not going to quit porn. And so your actionable step for you is to just analyze your next relapse and say, all right, why did I relapse? What happened? And the 2 questions I would ask is, what was I running away from? And what was I running towards? And the 3rd question is, how can I deal with what I was running away from in real life? And how can I get what I wanted in a much healthier way, right? So a tactical example of this might be, okay, let's say you're avoiding doing your homework, for example. Well, if you have a bunch of assignments that are due, you have a bunch of work that needs to be done, instead of thinking about, oh dude, I got this big assignment that I have to do, I have to write this paper, then I have to make this presentation, then I have to do this assignment, then I have to do these 40 practice problems, don't think about that, right? Just focus on taking the next step. So instead of thinking about you sitting down on your desk with your headphones in, grinding away, locking in, why don't you instead think about, all right, I'm just going to put my phone down. I'm just going to take my phone out of my hands and then put it down on my desk, face down on my desk, right? Then I'm going to get up, I'm going to grab my backpack, and I'm going to place my backpack on the floor near my desk. Right, I know this might seem okay, this seems kind of autistic, but the thing is that you need, quite frankly, if you relate to what I just said, you need this level of autism. You need just a little bit of that, because when you don't want to do something, you're focusing on the big picture too much. Instead, zoom in on the small details. What are the small things that you have to do? And just focus on just doing the next small thing and then the next small thing, right? Once you place your backpack down on your desk, you're going to open your backpack. Then you're going to take out your computer, place it on your desk. You're going to take out your folders, place them on their desk. Take out your calculator, place it on their desk. Grab a pencil. right? Break it down into really, really autistically level small steps like that. Right? So that would be a tactical example of how would you do something that you're avoiding. Also, how would you find a way to get what you want in a healthier way so you don't run towards porn, right? So you don't run towards the things that porn claims to offer, but it actually doesn't. Well, let's say it's loneliness in a sense of connection. Well, the first step of building a deep relationship with another human being, romantic, platonic, friend, whatever, is just talking to the person. It's just talking to someone, just saying hi, just introducing yourself, right? It's breaking it down in those small steps again. Instead of thinking about, oh, I want this really, really deep connection with another person, don't think about that, right? I mean, yeah, that's the end goal, that's the destination, but you got to focus on the road to get there, right? You put the destination into the GPS, but you don't focus on the destination, you focus on the road. And so the road, in that case, in that example, might be saying hi to another person, going up and saying, hey, how are you? How's your day? Right? Just making simple conversation like that. If you found that this video was helpful for you and you want to go more in depth into how to actually quit porn, I have a program. It's 5 phases, 5 steps that you can follow, all laid out in order, all of the resources, all of the tools that you need to not only quit porn, but become the person that you want to be. And so if you're interested in that, you can go and you can click the link in the description down below. Take care, brother.